It is now. So I have my electronics box, and Matt, your GPS antenna, at least the last time I saw, was mounted on top of your electronics box on the tractor.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess I'm assuming I'll do the same thing, is to mount it right on my electronics box, unless somebody's got any other different thoughts on the subject. And then if it is mounted right on the box, I've got this whatever 20 or 30 foot long cable, and I'm wondering where I can buy a 1 foot cable. I never seem to know exactly what connections these things are. Was it a BMA? Is that the BMA connector? Is that what goes into the bottom of the survey grade antenna?
I think that is a TNC connector.
TNC. So I'm looking for TNC to TNC cable. I guess I just need a couple of, maybe even just a foot, but do they have the reverse polarity thing going on, or they don't do that kind of goofiness?
I don't think they did that. I think it was just on the SMA because they're trying to thwart everybody from hooking their Wi-Fi on their computers to big powerful antennas, I think is why they did that. So I think if you buy a TNC, I think it's going to be, you know, if you say buy something called TNC male, I think they're all going to be built the same. Another thing to keep in mind, that cable is probably going to be stiff enough that, you know, if you get one that's just a foot long, you might have to really muscle that around to get it to fit like you want. So keep that in mind, that the cable you have right now, is it a fairly stiff cable or is it a fairly flexible? Your big long
It's pretty flexible.
So it could be when you buy it. I don't know what they call that, but sometimes you get cables that are really stiff, and it might be the insulation. If you get the PVC insulation, it might be, you know, might be stiffer than something else. And I don't know, you know, looking at different cables, how you know what that's going to be.
So maybe I'll get 2 feet and do a softball loop if I have to.
Yeah, you can just do a loop around the base of your antenna to take up room there. That's one place to do it. Does yours come straight out the bottom, or does it have a right angle connector? Because you can also get right angle adapters if you want it to come out, say, the side as opposed to directly out the bottom. So some of that depends on how you're going to mount it, how close you mount it to the base.
Well, let me see if I can pull up a picture of the box. I was thinking I was just going to come straight up out of the box, similar to what Matt has done.
I thought yours was, I thought on your board, I thought you had it sticking out the side of the box. So that's why I was mentioning that. But on mine, if you could put it on top of your car, so if you've got your antenna and you put a magnet on the bottom and stick it on top of your car, you can't run the cable straight down, so you have to put the right angle connector on. But if you're going to go straight down in your box, then that shouldn't be an issue. Have you thought about how you're going to seal the hole around if it comes straight out, you're going to put like super glue, or not super glue, yeah, hot glue. Either that or like silicone might work too to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll use whatever, trying to get it so I can share my screen, but make this picture larger. So this box would sit, you know, the frame would go across here, and this would be just like a briefcase, right? Sitting on the frame. That means this then becomes the top of the box, and I was literally just going to put it in the center. I forget what size bolt the bottom of the antenna takes, but it's, you know, it would be a very short distance between this and the bottom of the antenna. This happens to be the GPS, so it's going to come out there. So if I had, you know, just one little loop and fit it in there, it'll be a little bit tight, but I think it would make it.
So you're going to stand the box on the, you're going to stand the box up, or it's going to be laying down flat like it is now?
Not laying down flat. It'll be just like you set a briefcase down at the airport. It'll be on this bottom.
Okay. Because I was thinking if you put it, mounted it, if the thing was laying down flat and you mounted it on top of that, then when you lift the lid up and down, you're going to have to have enough room inside for it to, you know, basically hinge up and down. But if you're going to put it outside, then I guess it's always going to be fixed.
Yeah, my challenge is I don't have enough real estate between the gas tank and the battery box to lay it down flat like it is here. So then I'd have to come up, if I wanted to, you know, stipulate to lay it down flat, then I'd have to sort of rejigger my thinking on where it was going to go.
And your other option on that is go ahead and use the big long cable you got right now and just roll it up and lay it somewhere. And then when you get everything mounted on there and figure out where you want it, then you can go back and look at how long a cable you want. Yeah. When you go to mount the antenna, it may not mount quite as well as you think it's going to. So you might want to change that down the line. So you might be better off just putting the long one on right now.
I like that idea. So hopefully it'll be warm enough and dry enough to start testing again. But that's where I'm at, is trying to get back into the yard to test.
Right now it's dry enough, but it's still, I could just hit the freezing point and things are going to start getting wet and messy. And you posted pictures of all your green grass. I was going to go and take pictures of mine. You know, various places through the snow, you could see the grass, and some of it's still green from last year. Kind of like when you cut hay and the hay stays green. Well, it's still a little bit green like that, but and it's supposed to snow again middle of next week. So we still got big piles of snow, and it's not real convenient. But since I've been too lazy to get my robot running, that hasn't really stopped me too much. So.
Alan, you mentioned you had a question?
Yeah, do you guys use the Ross bag capabilities?
Yep.
Is that something that you have to set up as part of your project, or is it kind of by default you use it in that activity?
Alan, your audio went to poop on my side. I don't know about for Matt and Jeff.
See, that was an example of, he thinks it's working great, but then it's, if you go back and watch the video, you'll see it does that every once in a while from your setup.
Yeah, so is the Ross bag, is that something one of you guys could demo, or is that, and then the other question is that there by default, or do you have to enable it to record the activity? Because if I'm understanding right, doesn't it take just does a snapshot of all the topics and all the messages that float across the topic?
When you start it, you can specify if you want all the messages, or you can put a list of which ones you want. But it's just a command line. You go into the command line, you say something like Ross bag record, and then you either you might have to tell it where you want the file to go. I don't know right off the top of my head how that works. But then you can either say record all, or you can put a list of topics you want to get. And then it just creates the bag file. One thing is, keep in mind when you're all done, you have to go ahead and shut that bag file down, or you lose the data that was in it. And I can go back and dig and see how I fix that, but I've got somewhere I've got some experiments I did on how to get that to shut down. As part of my ability to shut down the Linux computer properly, I said also I'll go out and kill the Ross bag, and I got at the point where it would leave it in a intact state, so it would work. Otherwise, if you don't do that, it will say there's some message that when you try to go view it, it says something about it's some kind of CRC errors or something, And I haven't figured out any way. There's a command that says something about recover it. If you go look at the ROS bag, if you go to the ROS wiki and look up ROS bag, it tells you all the stuff about it. And there's various tools you can go out and you can list what's, so you can play it back and list what was in it. Or I found that one Python program that breaks that down and makes separate CSV files out of each one of those ROS topics. And that's real handy to have. No, I forgot, as I started down, I forgot what I was going to say with that. So anyway, it should be there. If you type ROS bag and it doesn't come up, then you might have to say, ROS topic, or you have to say what, apt-get install ROS bag, whatever it's called. So you might have to install it if it's not already there. And I see Matt just posted something on a tutorial or something there, so he can talk about that.
Yeah, sometimes if you shut down, if you're running, for example, you've got ROS bags running and you shut your PC down or your Raspberry Pi down, the ROS bag output file will have a .active on it. And you have to use ROS bag reindex. And then if you run that, it will fix the errors on shutdown.
I found part of the time you couldn't always fix those, and that's why I tracked down how to do it. And there's something about, you can go look to see which topics are active and then execute a Linux command that will shut that down properly. So as you do your shutdown stuff, if you have one way to kill your kill the thing that's running, probably because I think if that's running and do a Control-C on it, it shuts it down properly. So if you start that as part of your launch file, so you've got just a single launch file that says become autonomous now, whatever you call your launch file that starts up everything. If that also starts a ROS bag file, then when you do a Control-C on that one, it takes everything down and probably closes that correctly. So it's just a matter of, you're gonna have to play with it. And in my case, I was starting it separately. So I had, I'd have various sensors running. Then I started the ROS bag separately. And when I was done, then I either had to do a Control-C, or I've got it set up where I can push a push button on my Raspberry Pi, and there's a Python script that detects that. And first it says, do the 2 or 3 lines it takes to identify the ROS bag and kill it. And then it does the ROS shutdown. So it shuts everything down like it's supposed to. And right now everything's on the robot. I'm using the same monitor that I would normally talk to the robot with, so I can't pull it up right now. So I'll try to, when I go back and watch this video, that'll remind me I said I was going to go do that. So I'll see if I can get around to that. But back to your original question, it should be there, and when you're ready to use it, you just type, you look at the tutorials or the wiki. I basically just say something like ROS bag record, and then tell it what file you want to put it in and which topics you want, and then it just creates this while you're running. So anything that happens will show up on that.
Yeah, it looks great.
It's a very powerful tool, makes it a lot easier. I use it mainly with, like, for example, odometry. If you're trying to run robot localization, you can take your robot out, record all of your localization sensors, and then come back in the house and then play that ROS bag back, and then you can change your parameters and see the output.
Oh, really? You can do that too. So you could come up with change your code basically and fix problems you might have had and see what happens.
Exactly. Makes it so much faster to, you're making little changes, then you just play the bag back instead of going back outside, getting the robot running and then testing it again. You can just play the bag file back.
How are the guys doing in Argentina, Matt?
Working through the EDX course. So we're learning more, and hopefully that'll help.
And then the European guys, any feedback from them?
Yeah. Yep. They've recorded our first meeting on Wednesday morning, and they're off and running. So they have their group project right now is collecting ag data sets that are available. So there's a new channel in Slack about data sets, and so they're actively trying to go through those and see what's available.
And what time did you all end up meeting?
It's 1 a.m. Pacific time. 4 a.m. your time.
Yeah, oh, Dark 100. I don't think I was going to be able to manage that.
Yeah.
It looks like Jeff stepped away.
Is the South America group, is that, do they have a meeting once a week as well?
No, we don't have an active meeting or a monthly meeting set up yet.
Okay. That would be probably closer to time zone overlap with us.
Yep. North south.
Right. So are you having a field day at Al's place here in a couple weeks? Is that what I heard?
Hoping to. I am.
You are.
I don't know, Matt, are you and Jeff still game?
Maybe a virtual workshop.
Ah, it's going virtual now.
I still haven't fully decided. My computer just died on me. I was sitting here and the thing popped up and says your battery's critically low, and I thought, uh-oh, so I went and tried to get it plugged in, and now it finally came back, but okay, there, I think I'm back up and running again. So I'm still trying to decide if I'm going to make a trip down to Texas or not.
No worries.
So I just missed about 10 minutes of the meeting here since my computer died, but I think it's back and running again now.
Al, how long are you going to be down there?
A week, 10 days-ish. I mean, it depends on how long it takes to drive down and whatnot, but probably leave Pittsburgh on Friday, get to Texas on Sunday, Friday. So Sunday to Friday would be the, all goes well.
And I was looking at that schedule, and it turns out that Saturday following that is the robot meeting in Dallas, Texas, the Dallas Personal Robotics Group. So I thought if I came down, I'd try to swing back through there, and I could take, if I bring my robot and it's moving, I could take it in for their meeting and do that. But it's like 3 hours away from where you are is where Dallas is, I think. And their meeting starts at noon.
Yeah, you probably want to give yourself 4.5 hours, maybe. I don't know what side of Dallas it's on, but
Center, Irving, in between.
okay, guys. Well, if anybody any other interesting news or tidbits to share?
Alan posted a site to a cool robot shop.
I don't see that. I see Rosbag ActiveFix. Oh, you mean in the Slack channel?
No, in the chat, Venton.io.
Oh,
Vention.
what is that?
They've been calling me a lot after I went to their site and signed up. It's it looks pretty powerful, pretty impressive. So you can design and build your parts, whatever you want to build, and then they'll make it and send it to you. It appeared to be fairly expensive though. But if you didn't have any options, this would be a good option to get something built. If you didn't have a metal shop you could go to or something.
Yeah, I think I saw this before. I was impressed. Especially if you mean you do a lot of automation stuff, it would be useful. Yeah, you almost hate to click on things these days because you know you're going to get a phone call.
I've run into problems where you sign up and then you can't get away from it like that. I signed up for the Combine Forum, and then after the Ag Open GPS moved somewhere else, I tried to unsubscribe from Combine Forum, and there's nothing that says you can. And finally, I went to their administrative forum and posted, how do I unsubscribe? And one guy says, oh, well, you don't have to unsubscribe. You can just kick back and watch. And somebody else says, why are you going to unsubscribe? You've only posted 2 things. And I said, well, I just don't want to be here. And somebody else says, oh, you probably have to run through the administrator to do that. And then a couple of days later, somebody posted and said, oh, yeah, you do. You have to tell us that, basically tell us your ID and that you want to unsubscribe. And if you want to delete or they said, anonymize all your previous posts. And I said, yeah, I want to do that. So they gave me a link, says, well, you have to go here and submit it here. And I did. And they came back and says, oh, you didn't tell us which group you're on. So apparently it's just a big company that collects everyone's information. And they pose as being an email exchange service. And then finally, after about a week or so, they finally did take me off there. But I've noticed that more and more people are doing that kind of thing where, since it's all advertising based, they don't want to tell their advertisers people are leaving, so they don't give you a way to leave. And since you got me complaining, the other one is don't ever go to Quora, because once you do, then they start sending you emails. So, oh, well, a week ago you looked at this thing and says, well, number one, how did you get my email? And number two, I don't care. And then somebody just posted something on Medium, and I was thinking Medium works the same way, where again, they collect all the stuff together and then they're basically using it to grab your information. So that last thing, the guy posted about the e-bike thing, I haven't gone and looked at that because I saw that was on Medium. I didn't quite understand how that works. So anyway, that's kind of the way things are going. Oh, now you really got me complaining. They just announced in Minnesota when they have the primaries. Now this year you have to specify when you go to vote, you have to specify whether you're Democrat or Republican. And they're going to collect all that information and give out to all the major parties in Minnesota. So they're going to take your information and give it to everybody. And they could hound you before, because they would, call me or whatever. But it's just one more thing that they did that on their own because they could. And they said, oh, it's bipartisan. Both parties decided this was a good idea to take your information, whatever information they can get. So anyway, I think I'm done complaining now.
Jeff, Ag Open GPS, I posted the link that comes up in Google. Is that the right spot for them now?
Probably. Let me pull it up and look here. Oh, my link's not going to work again. Oh, it had to start up Chrome, so I had to restart my computer. Ag Open GPS, read more.
It was just the first hit in Google.
I think this is the place. Now, I don't remember how you get to the forum. Let me just see if I type in Ag Open GPS, if my link shows up.
I've never heard of Jim Doe. I thought that was a person.
Well, it just could be he's the person that owns the website. Maybe that's why. Ag Open.
Or Jim Do.
Well, when I type it in, it's the same one comes up, but what's this one? I don't know, if you go to Combine Forum and look in their section that says Ag Open GPS, somebody will ask a question. They say, oh, well, go here instead because we've moved. And that gives it to you there. So maybe if you type in Ag Open GPS and forum, maybe that would work. And they might not call it forum. They might call it something else. Due to the forum, the Combine Forum.
They have a discourse.group.
Yeah, I think that's probably the one that's the forum that I just now. Yeah, I think that's the one that is where their discussions are. I briefly look at it. I don't know how to get the index to come up here, but that's probably the one, yeah. Oh, I know why. This is new to the forum, so it's actually showing me just one message here. How do you get back? How about this one? Ag Open GPS. Okay, here it is. I'll copy this one and see if I can paste this. Come on. Oh, that's the same one you just posted, isn't it? Okay, well, we got it on there twice now.
Have you been following them? I have not.
No, that they also have they do video meetings that are getting more frequent than they had, and I tried to follow them, but since they're specifically talking about the software that was named Jim, whatever the guy's name was, whatever he wrote, they talk about that and how to fix bugs and how to add additions to it, and about half the people are from Europe and I can't understand them, so I didn't I don't spend too much time looking at their stuff. But they, you know, speaking of their stuff, they're going to do some really amazing things with their path planning, and they've got it all figured out. They say, "Oh, here's what my field looks like," so they make up some new technique to do their path planning and drive around. So that works out. You know, they just keep marching on, and their stuff seems to be working quite well. So I guess if you have an extra Windows laptop laying around, you can put it on your lawn tractor and make it run the Ag Open GPS software. And
Yeah, one more thing to learn.
yep, that's exactly what it is.
Okay, guys. Matt, anything else for you?
More fun in the EDX class, learning how to do state machines in ROS and behaviors. There's a lot more to learn. Once we get our base robot going, that's the very easiest part. Just get a robot platform that listens to command velocity. That's the easy part. And then once you get that working, then we'll move on to more complex issues.
So that same EDX class I'm in, Matt?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a ways to go. I got to get caught up. I'm listening to the lectures, the 5th week of lectures now. So, but I haven't done the homework for week 5 yet. And then, are you on week 6 where you get into state machine?
Yeah, we're using ROS plan.
Okay.
Did Ross Agriculture Europe, did they start doing video meetings? And if they do, are they going to post those somewhere?
Yes. Yes, first meeting was recorded and it posted in a Europe channel and on the ROS Agriculture YouTube site.
Okay.
So will they be,
So-
are they next then to the other videos, or there's another place to go?
Yeah, so on the, I can share the screen, show you the layout, but there's just different playlists on YouTube.
Got it.
So if you go to the ROS Agriculture, I guess, place, but you can see, so like here we have the lawn tractor videos that are in a playlist. We have a new playlist for ROS Agriculture Europe. There. Right there. So this is their video just from Wednesday morning.
Cool. Okay, guys. Have a great weekend. Hope you make some progress.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Oh.
See ya.
And Alan, yeah, unfortunately, man, your audio is dodgy.
Uh-oh. Here I thought I was good.
It sounds like a truck drove by or an airplane flew over or something. And then another thing is, I've noticed in previous meetings, you'll be talking long and also it gets real quiet. We just barely hear you, and then it'll pop back in. And I'm not sure why it's doing that either. If you're not close enough, or it's just your setup is doing that. But so as I say, it's handy if people go back and watch the videos occasionally just to see, number one, see how your setup's working, and then number two, get all the little tidbits that go by that you may have missed.
Yeah, that sounds good.
See you guys.
Take
Okay.
care.
Okay, bye.